The City of Montreal is launching its consultation on Publisac distribution tonight. The Publisacs are those plastic bags filled with flyers that you get delivered to your door once a week. And this consultation on flyer distribution is in response to a petition spearheaded by my next guest, Charles Montpetit. He will be presenting at the consultation, and he joins me in studio. Charles Montpetit, good afternoon.
Hi.
Thanks very much for coming in. This has been a 2-year battle for you. You have been spearheading this, collecting signatures, starting a petition. How do you feel about the city now holding a public consultation on this very issue?
It's not an achievement per se. It's just one more step toward the goal. That is, we want to get the City of Montreal to change the rules about flyer distribution. And I'm not even holding my breath that they will do so. I'm just doing my best to push us in that direction.
Charles, why do they bother you so much?
It's not really that they bother me personally, but they should bother everyone collectively because basically the Publisac in Quebec represent 100,000 tons of matter every year and 182 million plastic bags. And those are distributed usually to people who haven't even asked for them. So there's tremendous waste involved. People very often just take the bags and throw them unopened in the plastic bins for recycling. And they can't be recycled because most people don't separate the plastic bag from the paper content.
They just take the whole bag and toss it all into the recycling bin.
Yes, and as long as the two matters, paper and plastic, are not separated, it's 0% recyclable. So basically, the company is saying, we don't care about that. We could solve it at the source, but we'd rather let everybody do the sorting for us. And the result, in the end, is that all this matter clogs up the recycling centers throughout the province. We cannot sell either plastic or paper for recycling overseas because the two aren't properly separated and therefore the batches are contaminated. And since we can't sell them off, we have to bury them, and we're running out of burial space.
And, I mean, you're going to be presenting tonight. I understand your presentation will be about 25, 30 minutes. What are you going to be proposing? What would you like to see done?
There are 3 things that we're asking for in this consultation. One is to change the distribution system from what is called the opt-out system that we have now. That is, it's distributed to everybody except those who have posted a refusal on their mailbox.
Where you say no flyers.
Yes. So we want that to be changed to an opt-in system whereby people who want the flyers will be the ones who post a signal and nobody else will be bothered by it.
So nobody gets it unless you explicitly say, I want to receive it.
Yes. That's one thing. The second thing is we want the company to dismiss with the plastic bags altogether at the source. We don't want them. We don't want to have to sort them. And we don't want them to keep the paper that they contain from being recycled. If they used a paper envelope instead of a plastic bag, there wouldn't be any sorting necessary, and therefore it would simplify 11% of everything that goes through the sorting centers. So that's 1/9. That's a very big proportion. And the third thing that we want is whenever there's an infraction, we want the City of Montreal to enforce the law that it already has on the books, because right now it doesn't.
Okay, and when you say, I'm going to start with your first point, the opt-in instead of opt-out.
Yes.
So you would prefer that people who want it explicitly state they want it, otherwise it's assumed that you don't want it. Why do you feel that would help? What problem would that solve?
Well, the waste is usually generated because everybody gets a Publisac whether they asked for it or not. And you can't put the onus on people who don't want it to say, well, you should have said so, because since you don't say anything, we assume you do want it. That is, in and of itself, generating enormous waste. And in order to get the sticker for your mailbox, well, the only way to get them in Montreal is to go to one of those Éco-Quartier office in various boroughs, and you have to go there in person during business hours. So who can bother to do that when they're working? It's insane that the onus is on everybody to say that they don't want it, whereas for everything else in our society, whenever you subscribe to a magazine, newspaper, or anything else, you're the one who have to say that you want it.
You're signing up.
Yes.
We spoke to TC Transcontinental. They are the owner of Publisac, and Patricia Lemoyne is the spokesperson for TC Transcontinental. I'll have you hear a little clip from her. She says that an opt-in system, as you're suggesting, actually does not make much sense for them.
And the city of Montreal actually ordered a survey by this firm called, I believe it's Segma. And the results that they have is that 87% of people who actually read the Publisac, and it's a number that we actually have with our own third party that we did a survey on. Last time was 2018 with Crop, and we have that same number, 87%. So what we manage is the exception. It's not at all a subscription service, and that is what an opt-in system would mean, which unfortunately would also have a big impact on 95% of the local papers, what we call hebdos, that basically are distributed, to people in their municipality.
So what's your response to that? Her saying we even took a survey. Most people say that they do read it. They do cut out the coupons. They do read the pamphlets. What's your response to that, Sean?
Well, first of all, it's very misleading because we're not disputing how many people actually use the Publisac, even by their numbers. But the thing is, there's been another survey done by the city of Montreal in the same period that the one they're talking about. And the result of that is that even though they do read it, 82% of the population agree with our proposal to change from opt-out to opt-in. So it's not a matter of whether they like it or not and may the best man win. It's a matter of if we change the rules, everybody will still agree with that. And I have to specify one thing. When they say that changing from opt-out to opt-in is the equivalent of a subscription service, it's not. It's not as if people will have to actually send in their names in order to get the Publisac. That would be a subscription, and it would be very cumbersome. So the thing is, we're asking just for a change of sticker on the mailboxes. The people who actually pass out the flyers will still do their same route throughout the neighborhoods. They will just stop at the doors that have an authorization sticker instead of instead of avoiding the doors that have a refusal sticker. Everything else will stay the same. This is not a subscription service.
Just getting a text message from a listener saying an opt-in strategy is amazing. I make my own stickers and I have been making them for years. You can share your thoughts as well. 514-566-9066. I want to take you just north of Montreal to Mirabel. They have banned automatic distribution of the Publisac, and TC Transcontinental, which owns Publisac, is taking that to court. What are your thoughts on that situation?
It's very strange, but it's a good rehearsal for what will happen in Montreal. What they're arguing in court is that the city of Mirabel is discriminating against them because they only changed the rules for door-to-door distribution, but they did not change the rules for distribution by Canada Post, which is perfectly normal because door-to-door distribution is a municipal responsibility, whereas Canada Post is a federal one. So the city cannot change the federal rules. They just changed the area that they could act on. And the second thing that Transcontinental is arguing in Mirabel is that it's an attempt on an attack on their freedom of expression, commercially speaking. And it's not really, because they are not banned. And also, the people said, the advertisers said the same thing 2 years ago when the entire country of Canada passed a new law saying that flyers will not be able to be distributed widely on the internet anymore. You have to actually request them. Even newsletter, you have to request them. Otherwise, they don't get sent to you. And the advertisers said that it was an attack on freedom of expression for them at the time, and they lost in court. So Transcontinental's attempt in Mirabel is doomed.
And you're going to be presenting, how hopeful are you that the City of Montreal will listen and take into account and implement some of your proposals?
Well, the thing is, I'm not betting on anything right now because it's been a very wild and bumpy ride, and there's been surprises throughout the entire thing. I'm just trying to do the best, to make my case in the best way possible, and hope after that people will see reason for that. And people in Montreal can contribute to that hearing. It's not just me who have to argue the case. There's going to be 3 days of hearings at the end of October. You can see the dates on the City of Montreal's website, and everybody will be able to chime in on that. So I urge everybody who do agree that it would be nice to have an opt-in system instead of an opt-out to say so, because otherwise the last word will be in the court of the Transcontinental.
Charles Montpetit, thank you very much for stopping by this afternoon. Really appreciate your passion for this topic, and good luck at the presentations at the consultation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Charles Montpetit, he's organizing a campaign to have Publisac switch, as you heard, to an opt-in system. He also wants to ban the Publisac's plastic bag that they come in. And as you heard, you can chime in as well. 3 days in October for this public consultation.